billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to Paduman and welcome Professor Ahmad for being with us. Today we would like you to enlighten us on the topic, the place of reason in Islam.
Thank you very much. I hope you don't want me to deal philosophically with this issue because it is a very important philosophical discussion among Muslim scholars. I would like to join you in an effort to simplify the understanding of reason in Islam. As a matter of fact, you find different Quranic and Arabic terms used for the phenomena we call reason. One term is aql. Other term is nafs. A third one is ruh. A fourth one is qalb. And you find that sometimes interchangeably these terms are used in conveying the meaning which we find in a rational process. We define a rational process in terms of analysis, understanding, and action. Therefore, when we see an object, we try to understand it in different categories and terms. We try to analyze it intellectually, physically, biologically, and ultimately we come up with some action as a consequence of the process. In Islam, reason has been given as the basis for human life. The Quran, for example, tells us that human beings are supposed to use their reason, aql, use their qalb, use their mind, use their nafs in order to find out what is ultimate truth. Therefore, these terms, when used sometimes interchangeably, do focus on one and same meaning, which is how to find ultimate truth and how to translate this truth in our everyday life. Islam presumes two kinds of behavior. One is the behavior which is based on reason. And reason requires a logical relationship of objects. Reason requires identification of what is objective of your life. Reason requires finding out who is our Rabb and Creator. Reason requires finding out what kind of guidance is needed to live this life in a peaceful and meaningful manner, in a just and socially acceptable manner. And all these things are directly related with Islamic understanding of reason or aql. We find that Islam emphasizes and tells us that rational knowledge, rational understanding of objects is to be done within the framework of revelation or wahi. Therefore, wahi and reason, revelation and aql, these are not presented as two opponents or opposing forces, but these are presented as two elements which complement each other. Aql requires presence of revelation, and revelation provides the framework for aql. In other words, meaningful living is only possible when a person tries to find out what are limits of reason what are limits of knowledge, what are limits of empirical existence. Quite often, some people come up and say that whatever we have around is everything, and they end up in a kind of understanding of life and universe which is very much material. Some come up and say, no, whatever we have around us has no existence. Therefore, philosophically, they reject existence of matter and end up in a kind of either nihilism, skepticism, or dogmatism. Islam, on the other hand, comes forward and says that reason has to be applied in everything. Therefore, revelation provides the framework in which reason has to be operationalized. Revelation provides the guidelines and general principles in which reason comes up with new and modern solutions. In Islamic terminology, we call this process of ijtihad. We go for what is the foundation in revelation, then we use our reason, what is the basis for it in the Quran, in Sunnah, and we look for similarities, we look for causes, we look for what could be the benefit of whatever we are doing, and ultimately we discover a solution. This whole process is rational. When Islam talks about salat or prayer, for example, it does not say that you just pray, but it says you pray on certain timings, in certain manner, in certain gestures, in order to provide a rationale for everything. When Islam says that you fast, does not say just fast till you die, till you become a skeleton. No, tells us this is the reason for which you are going to fast, with very conscious, clear understanding, which means whether matter of ibadat, whether matter of economy, political structure, international relations, interpersonal relationship, whatever it is, the basis is a rational approach. This is why we find that from the beginning, Islam never faced that problem which was faced by some other traditions where religion and science, religion and reason, revelation or reason conflicted. In Islam, it never conflicted from the beginning. However, Islam cannot be reduced to a pure rationalism. Therefore, reason and revelation complement, and in many matters, revelation supersedes reason. In many matters, what has been given by the ultimate creator is to overrule what the finite human being may think. And this too is rational. It will be irrational that a finite human being overrules what has been given the infinite, ultimate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, supremacy of revelation is a demand of reason. It's not arbitrary, but it is because of rational approach that revelation must be placed at a point which is demand of reason. Now, with this combination, Islam has taken a middle of the path approach where what may be called religious matters in some traditions are blended together with what may be called rational, philosophical, scientific matters. Islam does not separate because of its very initial and very intense approach towards reason. You also find this phenomena operating throughout our history and among the companions and after them. we find a large number of Muslim scholars who, based on this approach of reason, came up with very creative works. You find among the companions, for example, there are scholars who came up with Quranic exegesis or explanation, who came up with positions drawn from Quran and Sunnah in the form of fiqh. We have a whole chapter of fiqh Umar, where we find the deductions of Umar bin al-Khattab based on this rational process. Similarly, in later generations, we have many people who have come up with very clear rational approach based on revelation. So I do not see any possible conflict between reason and revelation. On the contrary, I see that Islam's emphasis on reason demands a very high place for revelation, and both together come up with problems of humanity and solve those problems in a very natural, rational, scientific and beneficial manner.
Thank you very much. It is very interesting to know that from the Islamic point of view, it is not a conflict. Rather, there is a complementarity between the two. With this, today our program comes to an end. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.